It's been a typical year British weather-wise, cold and wet and cold and wet. So what better time to go out in a convertible? We've got some of the most unpredictable weather in Europe in this country, and yet we buy more convertibles than any other country in Europe. The question is, why? 10 or 15 years ago, owning a convertible was a completely different job. If you went out in the winter, you could more or less guarantee that you'd be getting wet or cold or both. I can remember being out in my girlfriend's MG Midget and getting caught in a storm. It took us ages to get the roof back up, stretching the cover and generally getting soaking wet. It's jam-packed with little extras that are going to keep everyone in the car busy on any journey, and probably you sitting in your driveway for 5 hours while you try and work it all out. But you don't mind doing it because it's a fun car. It has a little slot down here by the stereo you can stick your SIM card in. And the heater doesn't just pump out hot air, it pumps out fragrance to freshen you up as you're driving along. When you turn into a corner, the inside headlight directs an extra beam inside so you can see what's coming towards you. But you don't mind spending a bit of time with this car because it's all about fun. It's convertible. It's got all these little bits inside that just make owning it such a pleasure. Of course, it's easy to understand the English love affair with convertible cars. It's the wind in the hair, the getting away from mundane life. But in England, there's one thing you can guarantee, that sometime it's going to rain. The question is, when it does rain, how long is it going to take you to put up the roof? Well, let's find out. We're dry in 12 seconds, more or less, and there's the roof complete. Which isn't bad, considering in the old days you'd take about half an hour to try and put the roof up. Let's get motoring again. There was a time where the motorway was a pretty no-go area for the convertible car. You get buffeted about at anything above 60 miles an hour. But these days, as you can see, it's a fairly peaceful drive. Okay, the wind's blowing over your head and there's a bit of noise, but again, the design and the aerodynamics of the car are set up so that the wind drifts over it. And you have even got a little windbreaker in the back to help your passengers out. But the real place to take this car is out in the countryside. You get the wind in your hair, fresh air. It's fantastic. You really can't beat it. There was a time when convertibles and winter just didn't mix. The roofs were flimsy and noisy, you'd get wet and cold inside. But today, cars like this Peugeot 207cc have got a hard roof and levels of sophistication and comfort that you just didn't have in those days. You can own one of these, and if you're brave enough, you can experience that convertible cool all year round.